This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Hey, welcome to Friday and my 31st anniversary at WSM and the Grand Ole Opry. My first ever guest on this show was the late Charlie Daniels, Country Music Hall of Famer. And I served him chocolate raspberry truffle coffee, gourmet coffee from the coffee shop that they provided coffee from the restaurant in the days of the hotel studio. And the famous quote that I've kept through the years: Cody, ever since you left Texas, you've been drinking hippie coffee.
I laughed so hard. I should have taken a photo of it, but I think I was at Kroger, and I think their private selection brand of coffee, I think they had a chocolate raspberry truffle, and it just made me laugh. Now your 30th, we honored you. There's a nice commemoration of 30 years in our museum.
Yeah.
We had an Opry Country Classic show in your honor.
You did.
Now for 31, I can get you a muffin. We don't quite, it's not quite as big, but
Doesn't count for much, does it?
It's still cool though.
Well, 31 for me, 100 for WSM Radio and the Grand Ole Opry, and Charlie will run that Opry 100 weekend that's ahead with Vince Gill both nights. Lulu Roman has passed away. Americana Fest lineup. I'll run that down for you.
A lot of our friends are part of that.
And the last of the full-grown men, Webb Wilder, will take to the Assembly Food Hall stage here in just a little bit. We'll rewind to the stage of the Grand Ole Opry. Carrie Underwood's going to sing Home. But right now, you know every single word of this song. Crank it up on a Friday morning. All God's children smiling and singing with Joe D. That's my pick of the week. Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, south of here, where the Allman Brothers meets the band. Kind of a sound on that thing. They just kind of pulled me in. And that's the name of the new album. It's available wherever you get your music. It'll be there.
I think he would enjoy that comparison.
I think so.
There'll be no arguments with that.
It's meant as a compliment for sure. So in continuing in that vein with Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, the first list of performers for this year's Americana Fest have been announced. Amanda Shires, Daryl Scott, Rosie Flores, Anna Voss, the band Lula, and Pitney Meyer. They came to see us not too long ago in the studio. They're among the highlights. Maggie Rose and the Secret Sisters will be there with the Nashville Symphony. Americana Fest, September 9 through 13. September 9th is significant because Ascend Amphitheater's got Dwight Yoakam.
Yep, that's part of the Americana umbrella as well.
And our Aaron Cooper, On Air with Aaron, this afternoon has those tickets. They go on sale this morning a little over an hour, about an hour and 11 minutes from right now. Well, Brad Paisley, he's got a cool gig this weekend. Charlie, you've been talking about the Titans. Is it good fortune or bad fortune when you are picking first in the NFL draft?
Well, it's a lot of money for the guy you pick.
Yeah.
So I say good fortune for Cam Ward.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the Titans got to go first, and that was who they chose in the first-round draft choice. And Brad Paisley, who is still on the clock, as they like to say, as a part of guys who have not been drafted yet but will be. He's been drafted to play in Green Bay as a part of the NFL Draft Concert Series. He'll perform at the Draft Theater near Lambeau Field this weekend, and he says, as a lifelong fan, he can't wait to help close out an unforgettable weekend. It's 3 days long. Started last night, as I mentioned, and all the NFL Network affiliates, the major networks, ABC, ESPN. It's you can't escape the NFL draft if you're a sports fan over the weekend. Also, I want to mention that our sweet friend Maggie Rose is a mom. She announced the birth of her son. It was a story they did in People magazine. There they are. Look at them if you're watching on television this morning. Maggie and her husband, Austin Marshall, have a baby boy.
That is a head of hair.
That's Graham Marshall. Graham Marshall, ladies and gentlemen. April 13th came into the world here in Nashville, Tennessee. And Maggie and Austin, they're among a number of people in music business, 25 babies. That Shay Mooney, El King comes to mind, Hardy, Lauren Elena, certainly.
Little Graham was born with more hair than I have right now.
Oh, goodness. I also wanted to mention, I'd be remiss if I didn't, maybe you, like me, somewhere along the way in your day, this story, I didn't see it. Charlie actually texted me that Lulu Roman passed away yesterday. Actually, she passed away a little earlier in the week, but we got the news yesterday. Country and gospel singer, comedian, beloved star of Hee Haw, certainly, which is where I think most of us were introduced to her.
Yeah, unexpectedly, too. She did not have a long illness or anything.
Yeah, Bellingham, Washington was where she was living at the time of her death. She was 78 years old. I loved still love the Cole Haynes. And Lulu sitting on that couch. She was a native of Dallas, Texas, born with a thyroid condition. She was placed in an orphanage at birth, had a rough go in her early life. But before she found fame, she actually was a dancer in a Jack Ruby-owned nightclub. They billed her as Lulu Roman, the world's largest, biggest go-go dancer.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Welcome to the Assembly Food Hall stage. Our friends, the Shootouts, are in the house this morning.
Good morning.
Great to see you. I was just looking. So what is significant about February 24th, 2023?
That was our Grand Ole Opry debut. Sure. That is a date I will never forget. Yeah.
And, off the air, and I don't want this to be too personal in your private life,
No,
but
that's fine.
you were a month away from heart surgery when
No,
that happened?
it was actually 2024. Bill and I were just commiserating over heart issues, and so it was about actually about a year ago, and it was just trying to stay ahead of the problem. It wasn't that I had a problem necessarily, but trying to just stay ahead of it and stay healthy. And my sister and I both have the same condition that is genetic, and just trying to be proactive and trying to also encourage people to be proactive.
Well, Carly Pierce famously was just recently
Sure.
recognized by
Yes.
St. Thomas Hospital with their Seton Award
Yeah.
for bringing awareness particularly to women's heart health.
Yes.
Absolutely. And
super important.
So many people, I think, not why we're here, but I mean, I'm happy to, I want to talk about it and say that, like, so many people are like, well, I'll go to the doctor next month, or I'll put it off, or well, it could just be something else. But, heart issues are not really something to mess around with. And, my sister and I took it very seriously after losing our mother to a heart issue in 2018. And so, it was pretty wild. They said, but you'll be out of commission for about 4 weeks. And 4 weeks to the day, we were here at the Grand Ole Opry. So
You're telling me off the air, said, no, do not cancel that date. Hold that
we'll
date.
hold
I
that
will
one.
be there.
It's like breaking a fast. Do it at the opera.
Dream big.
So tonight will be how many times for you guys now?
Number 8.
Oh, you get a gift at number 10.
Ooh.
So I'm just
I mean,
saying,
every night's a gift.
keep
right?
coming. No, but you physically get a gift.
Okay.
What does one get for 10? A coaster set?
I
or?
don't want to ruin it, but Dan Rogers will present you with something. So
Okay.
Well, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah,
then.
absolutely.
All right.
So we have Ryan Humbert, Emily Bates, Brian Poston, the Shootouts, in studio again on the Assembly Food Hall stage this morning. And you guys don't waste time between albums. I was thinking about Bullseye, and before you knew it, you were in the studio with Ray Benson doing Stampede, and now, doggone it, you've got Switchback, which is coming. And I know this plays into your performance tonight at the Opry and a post-show event that you're hosting, Charlie.
Yeah,
and the album's availability.
If you're coming to the Opry tonight and you buy the new album, which will be available, by the way, about a month early tonight, only at the Opry shop. So if you're a fan, you can get it way ahead of time. But you'll also get to come and enjoy a post-show Q&A and acoustic performance in the Circle Room. And I've loved your sound from the first time you guys came. But the first time I heard Trampoline, I'm like, ooh, this is like familiar and new all at the same time. It really love the new song.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Yeah.
That's a song that's been around for a while, and Emily and I had been performing it for years, even before the Shootouts. And I knew that there was something to that song, and I took it to Brian, and we kind of put a fresh coat of paint on it and just rearranged it ever so slightly. It's still very much the same song, but it just felt like a good direction. And somebody asked me recently, they said, who do you think that Trampoline sounds like, or if you had to... I said, I don't really know, and I think that's maybe a good thing. I think maybe we're trying to, tread some new ground, but also stay true to who the Shootouts are.
Did I see that your outfits from your Opry debut are at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yeah, that's wild, isn't it?
Every once in a while, one of our friends or fans will send us a picture and saw your outfits today, and it's
How
still
did that come
surreal
about?
every time.
The Rock Hall's been very kind to us.
And you're from Ohio.
Yeah,
for people
we're
that
from
don't know the
Northeastern
background.
Ohio.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of friends up at the Rock Hall, and they've had us perform up there multiple times. And they've been very supportive of the band. They've had us perform there. During COVID, we did a Bullseye kind of album release event live stream with them. And so, they were thrilled that we were making our Opry debut, and they asked if we would want to put those outfits in kind of their permanent collection. They have an exhibit called Cleveland Rocks, and it's nothing but bands from Northeastern Ohio, all the way from Devo and the Black Keys and Screamin' Jay Hawkins to bands like us. And so we were very, very honored to see our clothes hanging there.
Akron, the original home, if I remember correctly?
Yeah,
pretty close?
Yeah, if you put a pin between the three of where we live, it would be Akron. And that's really that was our original market, you know.
Youngstown in that same area? Or
Just
close?
east of there, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we play Youngstown. We played all over northeastern Ohio. I think one thing that makes that area very unique is that you've got a lot of cities all within spitting distance of each other. Akron, Canton, Youngstown, Cleveland. You know, Pittsburgh's not far. Columbus isn't far. Pretty major markets, and there's just a lot of talent in that area.
Springsteen has a great song called Youngstown.
Yes, he does.
That goes to Tom Joad, you know.
Yeah.
And one of the other unique things about that part of the world, great winter weather. People just gravitate there.
Famously spectacular winters. Yes. We try to spend a little more time down here with y'all during the winter.
So outside our studio here in the Behind the Airwaves Museum exhibit area, which you get to be a part of the tour, your families and friends have gathered this morning.
Yes.
Can't see them on camera, but who else with you?
We've got a lot of our parents are here, and lots of friends, folks who have been great supporters of us for a long time. So yeah, we feel very lucky that every time we play here, we've had folks from home that have come down and been in the audience. So it's been wonderful to have them here.
Well, this album will be available May 30th to the general audience that's watching this morning, wherever you get your music. That's Memorial Day, as a matter of fact, my wife's birthday.
Well,
Memorial Day
happy
weekend.
birthday.
We've changed all that to have a long holiday weekend, but Memorial Day is actually the 30th, and that's a release of Switchback from the Shootouts. And I looked at this guest list: Sam Bush, Rodney Crowell, Vince Gill, Logan Ledger, Lindsay Lou, Mickey Raphael.
Yeah.
I'm leaving here yesterday knowing you guys were coming. I hear Rattlesnake Whiskey on the radio, literally on the access road from the studio.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. Man, it's good to be you guys these days.
Yeah,
So how did those friendships and working relationships develop?
Gosh, we've been very fortunate that over the years, I've told this story a lot recently, but I think it really is important. When Brian and I started this band, 10 years ago this year, our first show was at a hot dog restaurant. And it was literally like, let's just go have some fun playing country music that we love and on our own terms. And originally doing mostly covers, obscure old country stuff. And, 10 years later to be able to say that we're doing what we love and also getting to work with some of these folks that, like Rodney Crowell or Vince Gill, some of these folks.
Ray Benson.
Ray
that
Benson,
introduction.
Marty Stewart.
Who introduced you to Ray?
Greg Harris from the Rock Hall.
Oh, okay.
Introduced us to. He called Ray, and Ray called him back the same day and said, "These kids are cool. What do they need?" And to Greg's credit, he said, "Why don't you produce a record for them?"
And who produced this one?
This one was produced by a guy named Dan Nobler here in Nashville. Okay. He's worked with Allison Russell and Lake Street Dive and Rodney Crowell. And Rodney's the one who introduced us to Dan. And it felt like a really great fit. We wanted to make a record that, again, was kind of true to who we are, but took us in a different direction. I think it's kind of the start of a new chapter. I think Switchback was kind of an appropriate name for that even.
I'm curious, Brian, do you get free hot dogs playing the hot dog place? Is that one of the benefits?
Of course.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Happy Dog in Cleveland Chow.
Happy Dog.
What's the name of the place again?
Happy Dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Cleveland.
In Cleveland.
That's where the album release party celebration should take place.
I agree. Yeah.
Everybody gets a free chili dog.
Yeah.
They're all on Bill Cody.
So what we're going to feature first is a thing that I mentioned Vince Gill is on his album. Talk about that relationship and friendship and working relationship.
Yeah.
And then we're going to feature
So
I'll Be Damned. Is the name.
Our producer Dan Nobler is friends with Vince. And this was a song that I had heard and I thought, man, what a fun tune. I think we could make this a great Shootouts cover. And we were doing it live for a while. And then we said, we should just cut it for the record. And Dan said, well, let's get a hold of Vince. And strangely enough, he was like, but the timing didn't work out. By the time we were done with the record, he was touring with a little band called the Eagles, and was unavailable at that time. And then, literally, total happenstance, a month later, we were on the Opry with him, and Emily asked him if he would, he said, "I'm sorry that the window kind of closed," and
I said, "We will gladly reopen it for you, sir."
And 3 days.
It's one of those great Opry stories, backstage stories. We went over to say hey. We were in the dressing room next door and got to chatting, and it worked out. So.
Yeah, and then 3 days later, it was done.
So were you in the studio together, or did
we were
you
not?
Just
No, he
send
did
it to him, and then
he did it at his home
partner?
studio. Yeah. And then, about a month after that, I think we had gotten back from some show, and I was laying in bed at 2 a.m. and I was, of course, doom scrolling, and I came across a video of Wyatt Ellis playing at the Station Inn. And he said, hey, Vince Gill sat in with us tonight, and the camera panned over, and Vince was playing mandolin wearing a Shootouts t-shirt.
Oh, that's great.
That's good merch placement, baby.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Good merch placement if you can get it. With the Shootouts and Vince Gill. And the upcoming album is Switchback. Here's How I'll Be Damned. All over the world on WSM Radio and Circle Country Television, circlecountry.com.
Coffee, country, and Cody.
It's the Shootouts in the studio this morning. We've got Ryan Humbert, Emily Bates, Brian Poston is here. So, Brian, who's your go-to guitar guy? Kid growing up in Ohio, who was your man?
I love Pete Anderson. I absolutely love Pete Anderson. Dwight Yoakam, those early records, man. There's something about the way Pete produced those, and it shredded guitar, and he brought back the honky tonk, I thought.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, yeah, I comp a lot of Pete Anderson stuff for sure.
Well, it's so good to have you guys in
Thank you
telling
so much.
stories
So
and
great
sharing.
to
So
be
I want
here.
you to give us a kind of a day in the life. I'll go through these artists, some that are featured on your album, like Sam Bush.
Yeah.
As you were making the album, you were telling us.
Yeah, Sam was so kind, and he's a very jovial fella, and we had so much fun with him. We got to watch him play, and we were talking through all the songs and the parts, and he was with us for I think about 3 hours or so, and I think about 2 hours he played, and then he held court and told stories for about an hour.
Well, Charlie,
So-
you were telling them about our Green Room episode.
Oh,
with
last
Sam.
time Sam was here, he was scheduled at 8 o'clock. We wrapped up by 8:45. At 10:15, he was still talking to people in the green room. So,
He
and I
became
love-
our official greeter of Coffee Country and Cody.
I think I can tell this story. I texted Sam not long ago about something, and he responded right away, but it was like a very random text. And then a few minutes later, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was texting my dermatologist."
Oh, that's hysterical. Yeah, he and Ricky Skaggs are our go-to for good Bill Monroe stories.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. My favorite still all time is, what do you call that music, boy? That's called a newgrass, Mr. Monroe. I hate it. All right, then. Okay.
Ricky said one night they had played Rawhide just as clean and as fast as has ever been played. And Bill was on the show that night, and Ricky said I was fishing for a compliment, so I kept kind of hanging around him over on the side of the stage afterward. And he said, finally, with his arms folded, he said, what about a man that would play my music that fast? What was it like to work with Rodney Crowell?
Gosh, Rodney is a hero of mine, and so many amazing songs, right? I mean,
Well, Willie Nelson has got an album, I think
Yes,
it comes out
it
today.
comes out today.
Of all
Yes.
Rodney Crowell stuff.
Yeah,
What a
I mean,
Beautiful World. Or,
Yeah, you know what's interesting? When Mickey Raphael was in the studio with us, he was talking to Dan. Dan Nobler, our producer, we just loved working with, so much fun. He also is Rodney's son-in-law. And so, they were in there and they were talking about, I think Willie's going to do a whole album of Rodney tunes. And they were kind of talking like, I don't know if it's going to happen. It might happen. And here we are a year and a half later, and it's out. But Rodney's such a great guy. I had the privilege of it was July of 23. We were here in town, and we were playing the Opry that night. And I went to Buddy Miller's house that morning, then went right over to Rodney Crowell's house, and then came to the Opry, and people are like, well, you had just a terrible day, didn't you? But so got to hang out with Rodney for a couple hours that day, and he, just one-on-one, just such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the music business, country music, who to work with, who to not work with. And, he has just been such a kind guy to us. And so the ask was really easy. We said, hey, look, we met Dan because of you. Would you join us on a song? And came right in and sang this beautiful part on a song called Half a World Away. There was a song written by our dear friend Al Moss, who's been a long time extended family member of the band.
We are fan favorites of Al Moss.
Yeah, well, there's two Al Mosses. This isn't radio Al
Right.
Moss.
Oh,
This is
okay.
our Al Moss.
Okay.
Yeah, but they know each other. But so, it's just a beautiful song. It's got a beautiful sentiment. And Rodney, the first time I heard Rodney singing that part, I got choked up, which is, we've been very fortunate to work with some of our heroes and our idols, and none of them have got me quite like that one did. Hearing Rodney sing with us was pretty magical.
So Emily, I was talking to Brian earlier about go-to guitar folks and influences for him. Who were the
Yes.
chick singers that you just gravitated to?
Well, everybody keeps asking me this, and I realize that I kind of exclusively listen to women. So I'm on quite the Kelsey Ballerini kick right now.
Okay.
And Carly Pierce, but I love Loretta and Dolly, and I grew up listening to Martina and Trisha, and so yeah,
the
I mean,
Judds too,
the
right?
Judds,
Yeah.
but also Whitney Houston and Celine Dion. So if she's a lady and she can sing, I'm interested.
Well, literally, the first thing I told Emily when I saw her is, "Have we talked since I saw Taylor Swift?" And like the next 15 minutes was about the Eras tour.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Huge Swiftie.
Yeah.
She's amazing, and the business acumen, and that's one of the things that I love about Dolly too. It's they're great musicians, but man, their
Geniuses,
brains
right?
are crazy.
Well, and it just seems like there's also something that I think is even more important than any of that is just they seem like good people. And,
truly.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for just being. We're talking like about Vince, for example. Just good people deserve good things.
Yeah. Well, yesterday, Webb Wilder was by.
Yeah.
And a very similar
Yeah.
situation where he had a conversation with Vince and mentioned new music, and Vince was like, "Send it."
Yeah.
Now, for those who haven't seen, the record will come out May 30th, and there's a beautiful vinyl.
And you can get a
press
copy with you tonight?
The CD tonight. The vinyl,
okay.
you have to wait till the 30th.
Okay.
The
All
artwork is just stunning. And you were telling me you kind of came up with the concept, but you are not the artist.
No,
on it,
so I'm our graphic designer, but not our artist on this one. There's a guy named Luke Holcomb out of the UK, and discovered his artwork and just loved it. And he has a lot of nature-based stuff. And all of our records have had artwork on it instead of no, we don't need photos of us on there, right? So they've always had artwork on there, and we wanted something a little different, something a little that kind of felt like the record. And of course, the title track "Switchback" is another instrumental written by Brian. It felt like a perfect fit, and Luke's artwork kind of summed up the whole record for me. So we're real happy with it.
And it's a beautiful orange swirled pressing.
Yeah,
Yes.
nice. Yeah, and we've actually got it on 4 different pressings on our website. So some limited edition ones.
That's
yeah.
a Swiftie thing.
Yeah,
Make them buy all 4.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
We do love our vinyl variants
Yes.
ourselves. We are guilty of buying too many of the same version.
The 3 of us have spent so much money at Grimey's.
Not only did I buy 4 versions of the Dead Poets Society, I bought the box that you fit the 4 versions of the Dead Poets Society. So I'm your guy with all 4 of these.
Oh,
awesome.
Spectacular. Thank you, Charlie. We'll sign them all.
Brian, first concert. Your first concert.
My very first concert. Oof. I think it might have been Ozzy Osbourne, which is yeah. I think that might have been my first show in Ozfest.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Ozfest would be good. Those were the days too.
How about you, Emily?
I don't know if it was my first, but one of the earliest I remember was Shania Twain, and I sat next to Peyton Manning. It was like his first or second season with the Colts, and that was quite
You've never told
quite
us
the
that
thing
story.
as a 14-year-old girl to be like, that's Peyton Manning and that's Shania Twain. And somewhere I have a ticket with her autograph on one side and his autograph on the other.
Wow.
How about you, Ryan?
If I'm not mistaken, my first one that I remember was going to see Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band with my parents. I think I was like 14. I think something like that. So.
How about that? Yeah. All right, so Trampoline, we're going to close with that.
Yeah.
From Switchback, the upcoming album. May 30th is the release date, and there will be copies available tonight. And people, if you buy it, you get to come to the Circle Room where Charlie will be hosting you.
First 40 people, starting at 10 a.m.
Okay.
First 40 people, our first 40 to buy, get 2 wristbands to come to the after party.
Come to the opera shop.
Yeah.
And tell us about Lindsay Lou on this record.
Yeah, gosh, she has such an amazing voice, and she's a good friend of Dan's, and he said, man, I think she'd be a great fit for this. And she came over and totally came up with this unique counter melody on the chorus. And she's singing opposite of what Emily and I are doing, but boy, it fit together so great. We were thrilled to have her. And speaking of pregnancies, I heard you guys talking about our friend Maggie earlier, and folks.
Maggie Rose.
Yeah, Lindsay's due any time now as well, so we wish her the best on that too. So.
Well, wish you all the best. Thanks for coming
Thank
to see
you.
us when
Thank
you're
you
in
for
town.
having us.
And
Always
We love
great
you
to
guys.
see
Thanks.
headed to the Grand Ole Opry stage, and then a post show with Charlie Matos hosting tonight on Coffee, Country, and Cody, the Shootouts.